question because she's right now at the border giving a press conference. She doesn't give a press conference. She doesn't take questions. She'll make a little statement and then run away.
All right, there we have it. Former President Donald Trump and the current GOP candidate for the presidency again is in Walker, Michigan right now.
As we can see in that clip from yesterday, and really, as we see more and more, the Fox propaganda outlet has begun cutting Donald Trump's speeches off early because even they know that their GA audience doesn't want to see him rant and rave and ramble for hours on end. And his stories of windmills and Hannibal Lecter have grown boring to them all, and they also know the undecided voters who watch Fox are not only beginning to tune out of Donald Trump, but be turned off by him, be pushed away, and so they are doing everything they can to protect Donald Trump from himself. And because they are doing that, he is a little bit more okay with it. He still likes, of course, his rallies being broadcast in full, but he is no longer attacking Fox for that. But what he is attacking Fox for is when they play different types of rallies that aren't hits. When they play Democratic rallies, and that is exactly what happened yesterday when VP Harris delivered what I think was her best speech of this campaign so far at the southern border, and it really got under Donald Trump's skin, and he went on this enraged attack on Fox that we are going to check out in just a little bit. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy this channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting our movement. And like I said, Donald Trump can't stand when a Democrat is on Fox when VP Harris is speaking or one of her ads plays because he wants his Fox propaganda network all for himself. But before we get to Donald Trump's angered meltdown, let's check out what VP Harris had to say in her speech yesterday.
This is not working as it can and as it should. And so, as I said at the beginning, these issues are highly consequential for our nation. And the contrast in this election is clear. It is a choice between common sense solutions and the same old political games. In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he did nothing to fix our broken immigration system. He did not solve the shortage of immigration judges. He did not solve the shortage of border agents. He did not create lawful pathways into our nation. He did nothing to address an outdated asylum system and did not work with other governments in our hemisphere to deal with what clearly is also a regional challenge. As overdoses went up during his presidency, he fought to slash funding for the fight against fentanyl. And what did he do instead? Well, let's talk about that. He separated families. He ripped toddlers out of their mothers' arms, put children in cages, and tried to end protections for dreamers. He made the challenges at the border worse. And he is still fanning the flames of fear and division.
When we talk about the contrast in this election, I don't think there could be a better issue than border security. While Donald Trump was president and had the House and the Senate with Republican majorities, he didn't get anything done, sure. He complained a lot, he fearmongered a lot, but all he did was put up a couple miles of measly fence, not even the wall that he promised. And there were months under the Trump administration in which border crossings were higher than they are right now under the Biden-Harris administration. And that's because President Biden and Vice President Harris have actually worked to secure our border and make a better, more comprehensive system of immigration, which of course still needs more work. But when we talk about the contrast, VP Harris, as Attorney General of California, actually did work to secure the southern border. She actually did work to prosecute transnational criminals. She actually did work to prevent drugs like fentanyl from coming across our border. She didn't complain. She worked to solve the issue. And that's exactly what she was talking about last night on Fox. And it's the exact reason why Donald Trump was driven so crazy, knowing his supporters or undecided voters saw that. And it's why he took the Truth Social to melt down. Like this. Trump took the Truth Social writing. Why does Fox put this fraudulent liar on television? Why don't they put the people on who are going to make America great again? Fox is just as bad as she is now. Of course, Donald Trump didn't actually say VP Harris' name, but that True Social post came out at the same time that her speech was airing on Fox. And it's so funny that she is so in his head at this point that he won't even write her name. It went from misspelling it. Of course, he mispronounces it, but now he doesn't even want to say it because it upsets him so much. And I wish that Fox News was, or the Fox propaganda outlet, let's be real here, was as bad as VP Harris. If they were delivering truth like she does, I think the world would be a much better place. But it is so funny, as we always talk about, that Donald Trump wants his propaganda network so perfectly protected, and it is such an affront to him personally. Even if a speech as VP Harris is aired on Fox again, it's supposed to be a news network, so ostensibly they would air the news if one of the candidates for president is speaking and is delivering important remarks at our southern border. But no, he can't even handle that. It was like when Tim Walz went on Fox for the first time and Donald Trump said that they were bringing the enemy on. Well, I think you're really not gonna like it when this debate happens between Walz and Vance, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But on the topic of people that Donald Trump surely doesn't like appearing on Fox, I think one of them is Senator James Lankford. And as we're speaking about the border, I think it's important to check out this clip.
I know you're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election. It's the single biggest issue during the election. Don't resolve this. We'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it.
A Republican senator making clear what is true, that Donald Trump was the one who killed the bipartisan border deal. It's plain and simple. It's a fact we know it to be true because even during his administration, even during his presidency, he didn't want any sort of bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform because he didn't want to solve the issue. He just wanted to complain about it. It's the only thing he can do. And if we're talking about people appearing on Fox, that we have to play someone who made this argument so perfectly. We just have to check out.
Donald was for it, the head of the CBP union was for it, and then Trump swooped in to kill it. Not because he thought it was bad policy, but because he didn't want that issue to get better, because if it got worse, it would be better for him politically.
And I'll ask Senator Johnson about that, because there were a number of provisions that Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, ended up in the final product, felt that there was something they could not vote for there, and they could not move forward.
Okay, come on, we know why they didn't move forward. They moved forward because Donald Trump swooped in. He said, I don't want Joe Biden to get a win. They felt, many of them, that it was a flawed piece of legislation that had too many loopholes and other things they couldn't support. This is how Washington Post, what happened.
This is how they described the border situation. Illegal border crossings soared in the months after Biden took office and immediately rolled back many Trump-era restrictions. They go on to say the number of people taken into custody by the U.S. Border Patrol has reached the highest levels in the agency's 100-year history under Biden, averaging 2 million per year. And there's a lot of that attributed to the fact that there were dozens of things done under the Trump administration that this administration rolled back. And Vice President Harris is part of this administration and had a leading role, according to mainstream media, on handling the border.
Let's get real. Border crossings are down in the wake of President Biden's executive actions that he took after Congress failed to act.
So he could have taken action.
He wanted Congress to resolve that because that would have been more durable. But when Trump came in, talked Republicans out of their own bipartisan project because he didn't want the issue to get better. Remember, the worse things are at the border, the better things get for Donald Trump. So he has a vested interest in it remaining chaotic down there. I think this also helps to explain why he didn't exactly conclusively solve it when it was his turn. But I saw something else really important happening at the Republican National Convention on the border and the talk about immigration, which we all recognize is a problem, which is they tried to paint this narrative that if you live somewhere far from the border and immigration hasn't affected you personally, you need to think that immigration is a driver of crime. That was the real message. Immigration leads to crime.
Well, there are blue state governors and mayors who say every state is a border state now. That's Democrats.
Yeah, and now they're saying, but what the false message of the RNC was that this is leading to an increase in crime.
Well,
and I think it's really important that we talk about crime.
Have been very high profile about people. If they had not been in this country illegally,
this is my
people
point,
would still
right?
be alive.
Trying to make people think that crime is up when crime is down under Joe Biden and crime was up under Donald Trump. Now, I don't know how often that gets reported on this network, so if you're watching this at home, do yourself a favor and look up the data.
Well, we invite that.
Great. So if you look this up at home, you will know that crime went down under Biden and crime went up under Trump, and I think the violent crime for sure. So I think the really important thing to ask is, why would America want to go back to the higher crime that we experienced under Donald Trump?
I know that Secretary Pete has been incredibly busy on the campaign with VP Harris on Tim Walz. Currently, he is acting as J.D. Vance in debate prep for Tim Walz. I'm sure it doesn't pretending to be J.D. Vance all day must not be fun. Pet the booty gig in a clip. When that debate prep is over, I cannot wait to see you get back on Fox. I'd like to see you do a reoccurring segment every day. Maybe we can get you a show and we can call it like the Hour of Truth, like Golden Hour with Pete Buick, or maybe we can spend your talents elsewhere. But I'm excited to see Pete back calling out their lies, just like we're going to be doing every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can click that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.